The space station was alive with sound and movement. Hundreds of passengers crowded the long waiting hall, bags in their hands, voices mixing into a restless hum. The shuttle to the outer colonies was late again, and people were tired. Bright screens above the platform showed flashing numbers, promising departure soon. Vendors called out, selling food, drinks, and small gadgets. Security officers stood in corners, watching the crowd with sharp eyes. It looked like an ordinary day. But ordinary days often break apart in one sudden moment. At first, no one noticed her. She was small, crouched low near a shadowed wall, half hidden behind a cargo crate. Her hair was tangled, her clothes torn, her skin a strange pale color under the bright lights. She looked too thin, too weak to stand. But her eyes moved quickly, sharp as a cornered animal's. The alien girl had been hiding for hours, her body shaking with hunger and fear. No one knew where she had come from, and no one expected what she was about to do. The crowd shifted when a new group of passengers pushed forward. A man bumped into the crate near her hiding spot. The sound made her flinch. Her eyes widened. She thought he was reaching for her. With a sudden scream, she leaped out. The first passenger never had a chance. Her teeth sank deep into his arm, and he shouted in pain. Blood sprayed across the polished floor as the crowd gasped. Before anyone could move, she spun and lunged at another. This time, a woman cried out as sharp teeth tore into her shoulder. The panic spread like fire. People shoved one another, dropping bags, screaming for help. Security rushed forward, but they were too slow. The alien girl bit a third victim, a young man who tried to push her away. His face twisted in terror as she clung to him like a wild beast. He punched at her head, but she did not let go until the taste of blood filled her mouth. When she finally released him, he stumbled back, bleeding and pale. Now the crowd saw her clearly. She was not just a lost child. She was something dangerous. Her small body shook, her mouth red with blood. Her sharp teeth glistened in the station lights. Fear spread through the hall, heavier than the alarms now blaring overhead. People pointed and shouted, "Monster! Keep away!" The alien girl stood frozen for a moment, breathing hard, her chest rising and falling like she had run for miles. Her hands shook. Her eyes darted left and right, searching for escape. But all she saw were faces twisted in horror. All she heard were voices calling for her death. Security raised their weapons. The loudspeakers crackled, ordering passengers to move back. The crowd obeyed, forming a wide circle around her. She was trapped. The red lights of the alarm washed over her pale skin, making her look like a demon from someone's nightmare. And then, in the middle of the panic, one man stepped forward. He was tall, wearing simple travel clothes, a bag slung across his shoulder. He had been watching from a distance when the attack began. Unlike the others, his eyes were not filled with hate. He saw more than blood and sharp teeth. He saw the fear in the way she trembled, the chains still broken around her thin wrists. The way her mouth quivered after every bite, as if she hated herself for doing it. While everyone else shouted for her to be killed, he walked closer. Security shouted at him to stop. "Get back," one officer warned. But the man did not stop. His steps were slow, steady, his voice calm when he finally spoke. "She's scared," he said softly. "Can't you see? She's not attacking for fun. She's running from something." The alien girl snarled when he came near. Baring her teeth, her body crouched low as if ready to leap again. The crowd gasped, expecting him to be the next victim. But he did not move back. He did not raise his hands in fear. Instead, he slowly extended one hand toward her. The entire station seemed to hold its breath. The sirens still wailed, the victims still groaned in pain. But in that 1 second, silence fell over the circle. Every eye was locked on the human man and the alien girl. His hand hung in the air, open, waiting. Her eyes flickered, confused. She hissed, then paused, her small body trembling. Her gaze shifted from his hand to his calm face. She had bitten 3 passengers already, and no one would forgive her. But this human, he looked at her differently. The crowd shouted again, louder now. Don't. She'll kill you. Step back. She's a beast. But he didn't listen. His voice was steady, cutting through the chaos. You don't have to bite anymore, he whispered. Not me. Not anyone. I'm not here to hurt you. For the alien girl, time seemed to slow. Her ears rang with the shouts of the crowd. Her nose burned with the smell of blood. Her body shook with the memory of chains and cages. And yet, in front of her stood a hand-warm human, open. A hand not holding a weapon, but offering trust. Would she bite again? Or would she take the hand that could change everything? The answer hung in the air like a blade, ready to fall. Asterisk, the man's hand hung in the air, steady, waiting. Around him, the crowd pressed back, gasping and shouting. The alien girl crouched low, her eyes glowing with panic, her mouth still stained with blood. She hissed at him, ready to strike. To everyone watching, it looked like he was walking into certain death. But the man did not move back. He did not flinch. The security officers kept their weapons raised. One shouted through a speaker, "Step away, citizen. She's dangerous." The passengers screamed warnings, urging him to run. But his calm voice cut through the chaos. "She's not a monster," he said softly. "She's just afraid." The alien girl blinked. No one had spoken of her like that before. No one had looked at her as if she were more than teeth and claws. Her body trembled. She could taste the blood of the passengers on her tongue, bitter and metallic. Her instincts screamed at her to fight, to bite again, to keep them away. Yet the human's voice pulled at her, like a faint light inside the dark storm of her mind. She snarled louder, warning him. She wanted him to back away, to leave her alone. But his hand stayed open, not clenched in a fist, not gripping a weapon, not ready to strike, just waiting. The crowd grew restless. People cursed, calling her a beast. Others begged the man to move. One of the bitten passengers, clutching his bleeding arm, shouted, "Kill her! End it before she hurts anyone else." The human looked at the injured man but did not change his choice. He stepped closer, one slow step at a time. The alien girl's claws scratched the floor as she shifted back, confused by his courage. Her heart pounded in her chest. Every other human had chased her, trapped her, or hurt her. Why was this one different? Her eyes narrowed. She tilted her head, watching his steady gaze. His heartbeat, she could hear it was strong, not frantic. He was not lying when he said he was not afraid. Why? She hissed in a broken voice, the first word she had spoken since the attack. The sound shocked the crowd. Many had thought she could not speak. The human's face softened. "Because you need help," he whispered. The alien girl froze. That word help hit her harder than any weapon. No one had ever said it to her. No one had ever cared if she needed help. For so long she had only been called property, creature, experiment. Now this man, this stranger, was offering something she had never imagined. Her throat tightened. The memories rushed back, chains cutting her wrists, needles piercing her skin, shadows of men laughing as she screamed. The rage returned, hot and sharp. She wanted to lash out, to destroy everything near her. Her lips curled back over her teeth, her body tensed a leap. The man did not move. His hands stayed steady, his eyes never leaving hers. "You don't have to fight me," he said softly. "Not me. Not anymore." For the first time, her instincts hesitated. Her claws shook in the air, uncertain. She had bitten 3 already, and the taste of blood still clung to her mouth. But this one human. He looked at her not with fear, not with hate, but with something she did not recognize: trust. The security line inched forward. The commander barked an order, ready to fire. One wrong move, and they would shoot. The alien girl's breathing quickened. The choice pressed on her: attack the man and prove everyone right, or take his hand and risk everything. The crowd chanted, desperate, "Shoot her. Shoot her now." The man raised his other hand in warning, facing the guards. "No, don't," he shouted. "Give her a chance." The alien girl's chest burned. Her eyes darted to the guns, then back to the human's open palm. The world seemed to shrink to that one hand, that one chance. Slowly, shakily, she reached forward. Her claws brushed his skin. The crowd gasped. Security prepared to fire. But she did not bite. She let her trembling hand rest against his. Warmth, that was the first thing she felt. His hand was warm, steady, alive. No chain, no pain. Just warmth. Her body sagged, weak with exhaustion. Her lips quivered. She had not realized until that moment how tired she was of fighting. The man's grip was gentle, guiding, not forcing. For the first time, she did not feel like prey or prisoner. She felt like someone. The station fell silent. The alarms still blared, but no one spoke. Every eye was on them. The human helped her stand. Her legs shook, and she leaned against him without meaning to. The crowd erupted again, furious. The victims shouted for justice. Security aimed their weapons higher, waiting for the order to fire. But the man's voice rang out strong. "Look at her," he demanded. "She's not attacking anymore. She doesn't need bullets. She needs protection." The alien girl pressed closer to him, her small frame trembling. She had no words, only a deep ache in her chest that felt like something breaking free. The commander of security hesitated, his finger on the trigger. The crowd shouted louder, drowning the hall with fear and anger. And then the alarms changed. A deeper sound echoed through the station, warning of something worse. A new danger was coming. The human glanced at the girl, then at the soldiers, then at the red lights flashing above. Whatever had hunted her before, it was not finished. He tightened his grip on her hand. "Stay close," he whispered. For the first time, she did not pull away. The alarm echoed through the station, deeper and louder than before. Red lights flashed across the walls, and the crowd grew wilder. The passengers had already been afraid of the alien girl, but now their fear twisted into something else: panic. Everyone shouted, pushing toward the exits, fighting to escape before the unknown threat arrived. The human man still held the alien girl's trembling hand. She looked at him with wide, confused eyes. She did not understand why he was helping her. All her life, humans had been her enemies, her captors, her tormentors. Now this one stood beside her, protecting her from guns and hate. It made no sense. Her body told her not to trust, to run, to bite. But something inside her whispered that this man was different. The security commander barked orders. "Secure the creature. Do not let them leave." Weapons clicked into place, ready to fire. The soldiers moved slowly, carefully, forming a half circle around them. The human raised his voice. "Stop. She's not fighting anymore." His words were strong, but the crowd drowned him out. They screamed for justice, screamed for blood. The alien girl's claws twitched. She could feel the weight of every eye on her. She could hear the cries of the injured passengers she had bitten. Their blood still stained her teeth, their voices filled with pain and hate. Her heart beat so hard it hurt. Her instincts screamed to lash out again, to prove she was not weak. She pulled her hand back slightly, testing the man's grip. He didn't hold her like a chain. He didn't force her. His fingers were gentle, as if saying, "You can let go if you want to." That freedom shocked her. No one had ever given her a choice before. Her eyes locked on his. "Why?" she whispered again, her voice shaking. "Why not fear me?" The human's gaze was steady. "Because I can see you're more than what they say. You're not an animal. You're someone who's been hurt." Her chest tightened. The words stung, but not in the way she expected. They stung because they felt true. She hated the weakness they revealed, hated that he could see it. Yet, she could not look away. Before she could answer, a loud crash shook the station. A steel door at the far end bent inward as if struck by something massive. The alarm changed tone again, warning of breach. The commander cursed. "They're here. Everyone fall back." Passengers screamed and scattered in all directions. Soldiers formed a barrier, aiming their rifles at the door. The human felt the alien girl's hand tighten in his. Her body shook violently. He could feel her fear through her grip. "They're coming for me," she whispered. He looked at her closely. "Who?" Before she could reply, the door exploded inward. Smoke and sparks filled the air. Through the haze, dark armored figures stormed into the hall. Their armor was marked with strange symbols, their helmets glowing with cold blue light. They were not station security. They were hunters-mercenaries. The alien girl whimpered, stepping back. "Them," she said in a trembling voice. "They own me." The human's heart pounded. Now he understood. She wasn't just some wild creature. She had escaped from these hunters. She had bitten the passengers not because she wanted to hurt them, but because she thought they were her captors. The mercenaries raised strange weapons, scanning the crowd. One of them pointed straight at the alien girl. His voice was cold, mechanical. "Target located. Alive. Retrieve at all costs." The soldiers of the station aimed their rifles back, shouting for the mercenaries to stop. The hall became a battlefield of tension to forces facing each other, weapons ready. The crowd shrieked, trapped between them. The human man knew one thing. If they took the alien girl, she would never be free again. He pulled her close. "Do you trust me?" he asked quickly. Her eyes burned with confusion. Trust. The word felt strange, heavy, almost impossible. She had never trusted anyone. But when she looked at him, she saw something she had never seen before. Someone who did not want to own her. Someone who wanted her to live. Her throat closed. I don't know." "That's enough," he said firmly. "Stay behind me." The mercenaries advanced. The commander shouted for everyone to hold fire. The alien girl pressed against the human's back, her claws shaking. She wanted to run, but his words anchored her. "Stay." One mercenary aimed at her head. In a blur, the human threw his body in front of her. The shot fired, but it hit the floor near his feet, throwing sparks. Gasps filled the station. The alien girl's eyes widened. He had risked his life without hesitation. Not for money, not for power, but for her. The human glared at the mercenaries. "You'll have to go through me first." The mercenary leader's helmet tilted. "Then you will die with her." The alien girl's breathing grew fast, shallow. She could feel the weight of the choice pressing on her again. She could run and save herself, leaving the human to die. That was what she had always done: fight, bite, survive alone. Or she could stay. Stay and trust the one hand that had not struck her. Her claws slid forward, sharp and ready. She moved beside him, shoulder to shoulder. Her voice shook but carried a new strength. "Not this time," she whispered. "I won't run." The human glanced at her, a small smile flickering despite the danger. "Good," he said. The standoff tightened. Mercenaries, soldiers, alarms, and smoke filled the hall. But in the center of it all, A human and an alien girl stood together for the first time, not captor and prey, not monster and victim, but something different. The trust was fragile, but it was real. And in that moment, it was enough to change everything. Asterisk smoke poured across the station hall, thick and choking. Red alarms painted the walls in flashing light. The mercenaries pushed forward with heavy boots, their glowing visors locked on the alien girl. Passengers screamed as they ran in every direction, crashing into walls, dropping bags, desperate to escape the storm about to break. The human man tightened his grip on the alien girl's trembling hand. "Move!" he shouted, pulling her toward the side corridor. Bullets and plasma bolts fired across the hall, the noise deafening. Security and mercenaries clashed, their weapons flashing blue and red. The air filled with smoke, fire, and the smell of burning metal. The alien girl stumbled beside him, her legs weak. She had spent so long hiding, chained, and starving her body was close to collapse. But the human did not let her fall. Every time she tripped, he pulled her back up. Every time she hesitated, he urged her forward. His voice cut through the chaos like a lifeline. "Stay with me. Just a little more." They darted through the maintenance corridor, the lights flickering above them. The walls were narrow, pipes hissing with steam. Behind them, the heavy steps of mercenaries echoed closer and closer. The alien girl's chest burned, her breathing ragged. She wanted to stop, to curl into the shadows and disappear. But the human's hand was strong, pulling her forward, refusing to let her give up. Her eyes stung with tears. She had never known anyone who would fight this hard for her. Why? Why was he risking everything? She could not understand, but some part of her heart clung to the warmth of his grip. A mercenary's shout echoed behind them. Target in sight. The human glanced back, then shoved open a hatch on the wall. In here. He pulled her inside, dropping into a dim tunnel that smelled of rust and oil. The hatch slammed shut above them, plunging them into shadows. The alien girl pressed against the wall, her body shaking. She could hear the mercenaries above, pounding on doors, searching. Her claws dug into the metal as her instinct screamed to flee. The human crouched low beside her. His breathing was heavy, sweat dripping down his forehead, but his voice stayed calm. "We'll lose them down here." She stared at him, her wide eyes glowing faintly in the dark. "Why? Why help me?" Her voice cracked. "I bit them? I would have bitten you." He met her gaze, steady. "Because I saw the chains. Because you're not evil, you're scared." The alien girl trembled. The word chains hit her like a blow. She remembered the cold steel around her wrists, the cruel laughter of her captors, the endless nights of pain. Rage swelled in her chest, but beside it, something else flickered hope. Before she could reply, a loud crash shook the tunnel. The mercenaries had tracked them. Their boots clanged against the metal floor as they descended into the passage. "They're close," the human whispered. He looked ahead, spotting a faint glow. "This way?" They ran again, the tunnel stretching endlessly, the sound of pursuit growing louder. The alien girl stumbled, but he caught her. At one point she nearly collapsed, and he lifted her onto his shoulder, carrying her despite his own exhaustion. The tunnel ended at a grated door leading into the cargo bay. The human kicked it open, and they spilled out into a vast room filled with towering crates, machines, and docked shuttles. The bay was chaos workers shouting, alarms blaring, guards trying to control the fleeing passengers. The alien girl clung to him, her claws digging into his sleeve. Her voice was barely a whisper. "They won't stop. They'll never stop." He looked at her, determination burning in his eyes. "Then we don't stop either." Suddenly, a blast struck the ground behind them, throwing sparks into the air. A mercenary squad stormed into the bay, weapons raised. The human grabbed her hand tighter and ran between the crates, weaving through shadows. Shots rang out, metal shattered. Sparks showered down. The alien girl's instincts screamed at her to bite, to lash out, to fight like the wild thing they had made her into. But every time she looked at the human, she fought those instincts back. If she bit again, she would prove them right. If she stayed with him, maybe she could be something else. They ducked behind a stack of crates. The human pressed his back against the metal, catching his breath. The alien girl crouched low, her claws trembling. "They'll corner us soon," she whispered. "Not if we find a way out first," he replied. He scanned the bay, spotting a maintenance lift leading toward the upper levels. There. Before they could move, a mercenary voice boomed through the bay. "Surrender the target, human. This is your only warning." The human's jaw tightened. He looked at the alien girl, her pale face streaked with fear. "Do you trust me now?" Her breath caught. She didn't want to answer, but the truth spilled from her lips anyway. "Yes." "Then run with me," he said. They bolted from cover, sprinting toward the lift as bullets rained around them. The alien girl's legs wobbled, but her heart burned with something new. For the first time, she wasn't running alone. The mercenaries roared in fury, closing in. The human hit the lift controls, and the platform began to rise slowly, painfully slow. Shots struck the railing, sparks flying. The alien girl clung to him, her eyes locked on his steady face. The mercenaries aimed for one final strike. The human threw his body over hers as the lift carried them upward, shielding her with his back. The last thing she heard before the bay vanished below was the mercenary's promise. "We will find you. She will never be free." The alien girl pressed her forehead against the human's chest, her heart racing, for the first time in her life. She dared to believe the words forming silently inside. "Maybe I don't have to be a monster anymore." The lift groaned as it carried them upward, shaking with every movement. The alien girl clung tightly to the human's arm, her claws leaving shallow marks in his sleeve. Below them, the cargo bay was chaos mercenaries, shouting, guards firing, smoke rising from scattered explosions. The bay grew smaller and smaller, but the girl knew it wasn't over. They would not stop. They never stopped. The human leaned close so she could hear him over the sirens. "We'll be safe once we get out of this level." His voice was steady, but his eyes darted around, searching for the next danger. The alien girl swallowed hard. She didn't believe in safety. Not for herself. Yet when he spoke, some part of her wanted to believe. She had spent so long surviving on instinct bite, hide that she had forgotten what it felt like to have someone stand between her and the darkness. The lift stopped with a harsh clang. They stepped out into a dim maintenance hall, the walls lined with pipes and humming wires. It was quieter here, but the alarms still echoed faintly, reminding them that the hunt continued. The human guided her deeper into the shadows. His steps were careful, but he didn't let go of her hand. "We need to keep moving. The mercs will search every level." She followed, but her chest tightened with a weight she couldn't carry anymore. Secrets pressed against her throat, burning to escape. She knew he deserved the truth, even if it made him leave her at last. She stopped walking. Her claws scraped lightly against the wall, her eyes lowering. "You don't understand," she whispered. The human turned, confused. "Understand what?" Her voice shook as the memories spilled out. "I wasn't always here. I wasn't always like this. I had a home once, a family. They took me." The human stayed silent, waiting. His gaze was patient, not pushing, just listening. "They came in the night," she continued, her voice breaking. "Strange ships. They burned everything. They chained us. They took me far away. I was just a child. I cried, but no one listened. They called me an experiment, a weapon. They wanted to see how much pain I could survive before I broke. Her hands trembled as she lifted them, showing the scars on her wrists where chains had bitten deep. These marks. They're all I had left. They taught me to fight like an animal, to bite, to kill. And if I refused, they starved me. They made me into what you saw today. Her shoulders sagged under the weight of the confession. That's why I bit those passengers. I thought they were them. I thought I was going back to the cage. The hall was silent except for the hum of the pipes. The human stepped closer, his face full of quiet sorrow. You were never a monster, he said softly. They tried to make you one, but that's not who you are. Her eyes burned with tears she hadn't allowed herself in years. How do you know? You didn't see me. I hurt them. I wanted to hurt them. I saw your eyes, he replied. You didn't bite because you wanted to. You bit because you were afraid. There's a difference. His words cut through her like light breaking into a dark room. No one had ever said that to her. No one had cared why she fought only that she did. The alien girl covered her face with her trembling hands. For the first time, she let herself cry. The tears streaked down her pale cheeks and her shoulders shook. She hated showing weakness, hated letting anyone see. But with him, she couldn't stop. The human gently rested a hand on her shoulder. You don't have to carry it alone anymore. Not while I'm here, her breath caught. She lowered her hand slowly, staring at him through blurry eyes. Why? Why risk yourself for me? I'm nothing. You're not nothing, he said firmly. You're someone worth saving. Her chest tightened so much it hurt. She didn't know what to do with his words. She wanted to believe them, but fear whispered that they were lies, that he would betray her like all the rest. Yet his eyes didn't waver. They were steady, clear, human and full of something she had never seen before. Trust. Before she could answer, a sudden crash shook the corridor. The walls rattled and dust rained down from the ceiling. The mercenaries were closing in. Voices shouted in the distance, heavy boots pounding closer. The human grabbed her hand again. We'll talk later. Right now, we survive. She nodded quickly, wiping her tears. The weight of her secrets still burned, but now he carried part of it with her. For the first time, she felt less alone. They ran again, deeper into the maintenance halls. Lights flickered above, shadows stretching like claws on the walls. The girl's chest still ached from the memories, but her legs moved faster than before. The human's words echoed in her mind, someone worth saving. The sound of pursuit grew louder. The mercenaries were relentless. The human glanced back, then pulled her into a side hatch that led to another narrow tunnel. It was dark, damp, filled with dripping pipes as they crawled through. The alien girl whispered, "They won't stop until they have me." "Then they'll have to go through me first," the human said. Her heart stuttered. She knew he meant it, and for the first time since her world burned. She believed someone might stand beside her until the end. The tunnel opened into a wide chamber with a faint light ahead. The human slowed, raising his hand for silence. They crept forward, hearts pounding, breaths shallow, and then they saw each rows of armed mercenaries waiting, their blue visors glowing in the dark. They had been trapped. The alien girl's hand tightened in his. Fear returned like fire in her chest. But this time, she wasn't alone. This time, someone stood at her side. The chamber stretched wide, filled with shadows and smoke. The hum of engines above vibrated through the walls. And in the center of it, all mercenaries. Rows of them, armored and silent, their glowing blue visors fixed on the alien girl. Their weapons gleamed in the dim light, ready to fire. The alien girl froze. Her claws dug into the human's hand as fear surged through her. This was it, the trap she had always known would come. Her chest heaved, her breaths sharp and ragged. Every instinct screamed at her to run, to bite, to claw, to survive. But there was nowhere left to run. The hunters had finally cornered their prey. The human stepped forward, putting himself between her and the mercenaries. His voice rang out, firm and steady, even against the army before him. "She's not yours anymore." The mercenary leader tilted his helmet, his cold mechanical voice echoing across the chamber. "She was made to belong to us. Step aside, human, and you may live." The human's jaw tightened. "I won't." The alien girl's heart lurched. No one had ever stood like that for her. No one had faced death just to protect her. For a moment, the fear inside her warred with something new, something stronger. Courage. The leader raised his hand. Weapons aimed. "Then you die with her." The first shot screamed through the chamber, sparking against the wall beside them. The human pulled the alien girl down behind a row of pipes. Bolts of energy lit the dark, each one blasting metal into shards. The air smelled of burning steel. The girl clutched her head, shaking. "We can't win. They're too many." The human's voice was steady, even as he loaded a small blaster he had taken from a fallen guard earlier. "Maybe we can't win, but we can fight." She stared at him, horrified. "Why fight for me? I'll only drag you down. I'm broken." He grabbed her shoulders, forcing her to meet his eyes. "You are not broken. You're alive. That means you fight. With me." His words struck deep, cutting through the chains in her mind. Her claws trembled, but slowly she nodded. For the first time, she chose not to hide behind fear. The mercenaries advanced, their boots pounding in unison. The human leaned out, firing back. Sparks exploded against armor, making the mercs stumble but not fall. Their weapons were stronger, their numbers overwhelming. Every second felt like the last. The alien girl crouched low, her instincts roaring. She had been trained to fight, forced to kill. She hated what they had made her, but now for the first time she would use it for her choice, not theirs. She leaped from cover, moving faster than the human expected. Her claws slashed across the nearest mercenary's helmet, sparks flying as glass cracked. He staggered, and she roared with a voice full of years of pain. Another mercenary swung his rifle at her, but she twisted, biting down on his arm with sharp, brutal force. The taste of blood filled her mouth again, but this time, it wasn't fear that drove her. It was defiance. The human fired beside her, his shots striking true. They fought together, side by side, against the wall of steel and blue light. The mercenaries cursed and shouted, regrouping. But the pair moved like storm and flame. The alien girl snarled, ripping weapons from mercenaries' hands. The human used speed and precision, covering her whenever she faltered. For every step the mercenaries gained, they pushed them back too. But there were too many. For every one they dropped, 3 more appeared. The chamber shook as heavy reinforcements stormed in. The alien girl stumbled, exhaustion pulling at her limbs. The human caught her, dragging her back behind cover. "We can't hold them," she cried, her voice breaking. The human looked at her, his face pale with sweat and smoke, but his eyes fierce. "Then we hold long enough to show them you're not theirs." Her throat closed. His words burned into her chest like fire. She wasn't theirs. She wasn't property. She wasn't just a monster. She was someone who mattered. The mercenary leader advanced, raising a massive rifle. "You can't win. Hand her over, and I may spare you." The human stood tall, lifting his weapon, even though it was nearly empty. "You'll have to kill me first." The alien girl staggered to her feet, standing beside him. Her claws dripped blood, her body shaking, but her eyes blazed with new fire. And me. The chamber fell silent for a breath, as if the universe itself was watching. A lone human and a broken alien girl, standing against an army. Outnumbered, outgunned, yet unbroken. The mercenary leader's visor glowed brighter. Then both of you will fall. He raised his weapon to fire. The alien girl tightened her claws. The human steadied his aim. They were ready for the end, and then the station shook with a thunderous blast. The ceiling above cracked, lights shattered, and smoke poured down. Something massive had struck the station from outside. The mercenaries froze, turning toward the sudden chaos. The human pulled the alien girl close. This is our chance. Her breath came fast. She looked at him, then at the crumbling ceiling. For the first time in her life, she felt no chains. No orders, only choice. Then let's take it, she whispered. Together. They ran straight into the storm. The ceiling groaned as the station shook again. Panels fell, sparks rained down, alarms screamed louder than ever. The floor trembled under their feet, and smoke filled the chamber. The mercenaries staggered, shouting orders, their blue visors cutting through the haze. The human gripped the alien girl's hand. "We move now," he shouted. His voice was fierce, urgent, but his eyes never left hers. She nodded, her chest burning with fear and fire. Together, they sprinted into the chaos. The mercenaries opened fire, but the collapsing ceiling worked against them. Beams of steel crashed down, blocking their shots. The alien girl darted forward with animal speed, dragging the human through narrow gaps between falling debris. Her instincts screamed at her to run alone, to leave him behind and save herself. But she ignored that voice. She held his hand tighter than ever. They burst into a corridor that slanted upward, smoke curling along the walls. The human coughed, pulling her forward. Shuttle Bay. If we reach it, we have a chance. Her ears rang with the pounding of boots behind them. The mercenaries were still chasing, shouting for her capture. She knew what they wanted. They wanted to drag her back into chains, back into the dark cages where screams never ended. For a moment, her legs weakened with terror. But then she looked at the human running beside her, his face streaked with sweat and soot. He wasn't running for himself, he was running for her. Her fear twisted into strength. She forced her legs to move faster. The corridor ended at a wide blast door. Beyond it, the faint hum of engines vibrated through the metal the shuttle bay. Freedom was on the other side. The human slammed the control panel. Sparks flew, but the door groaned open halfway. Go. He yelled. The alien girl squeezed through the gap first, then turned back, pulling him after her. Together, they stumbled into the bay. It was chaos inside. Shuttles were powering up, passengers screaming, guards shouting orders. Smoke clouded the air. Lights flickered. Above them, the great windows showed the void of space, streaked with flashes of fire from outside battles. The human pointed. There, that shuttle's still loading. But the mercenaries poured in behind them, weapons raised. Their leader's voice boomed across the bay. Do not let her escape. Shots exploded. Sparks showered down as crates shattered. The human pulled her behind cover, his blaster almost empty. He fired a few desperate shots, forcing the mercs back for a moment. The alien girl crouched low, trembling. Her eyes darted to the shuttle. It was so close. Yet the mercenaries were between them and freedom. She felt the old fear rise again, fear that this was where it ended. Fear that she would never be more than a weapon or a slave. But then she remembered his words. You're someone worth saving. Her claws clenched. Her breathing steadied. She looked at the human and whispered, I'll clear the way. His eyes widened. "No, you'll be killed." She shook her head. "Not if you run with me." Before he could stop her, she leaped from cover with a roar that shook the bay. She charged at the mercenaries, moving with the speed of fury and freedom. Her claws tore through weapons, sparks flying. The mercenaries fired wildly, but she dodged, slashing, biting, refusing to fall. The human rushed after her, firing his last shots, covering her flank. Together, they carved a path through the wall of armored bodies. The shuttle's ramp lowered, passengers screaming for them to hurry. The human grabbed her arm. "Now, go." They sprinted up the ramp as mercenaries roared behind them. A final shot rang out. The alien girl stumbled, falling to her knees. The human turned, his heart stopping. "No." But she looked up, breathless, her eyes blazing. "I'm fine. Keep going." She pushed herself to her feet, limping. But refusing to stop, the shuttle door slammed shut just as mercenaries reached the ramp. They pounded against the metal, shouting threats, but it was too late. Engines roared. The shuttle lifted, shaking as it tore free from the bay. Through the window, the alien girl watched the mercenaries shrink below. For the first time, the chains of her past felt farther away. She sank into a seat, exhausted, her body trembling. The human sat beside her, his chest heaving. For a moment, neither spoke. The silence was heavy with everything they had survived. Finally, she turned to him. Her voice was soft, uncertain. "Why did you help me? You could have walked away." He looked at her, his face tired but steady. "Because no one deserves to live in chains. And because I saw you. Not the monster they tried to make, but the person underneath." Her throat tightened. Tears burned her eyes. No one had ever seen her like that. She whispered, "And now?" "Now," he said, placing a gentle hand over hers, "you're free. The rest is your choice." She stared at their joined hands. For the first time, she felt something she had never known: hope. The stars stretched endlessly outside the window. A sea of freedom waiting. She leaned her head against his shoulder, whispering words she had never dared before. "Then, I choose to live." The shuttle soared into the dark, carrying them away from chains, away from fear. A human who offered his hand, and an alien girl who finally took it. Together, they left behind the past and stepped into a future no one could have imagined.